I'm going to look at the quadratic formula now. The quadratic formula is x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now a is whatever the number is in front of the x squared, b is the number in front of the x, and c is the number on its own. And remember, in a quadratic, all terms must be on one side, and the right hand side should equal 0. So we're going to see it in this wee question here. So I'm going to pick out my a. A is 1, b is minus 4, and c is 1. So x equals minus b, minus 4 becomes a positive 4. b squared minus 4 squared is 16. Now make sure you put in positive 16 and not negative 16, because minus 4 times minus 4 is positive 16. Now it's minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. So it's x equals 4 plus or minus the square root. 4 times 1 is 4 times 1 is 4. So 16 take away 4 is 12 over 2. And just on your calculators, you can just put in 4 plus the square root of 12 equals, divided by 2 equals, and it's coming up as 2 plus root 3. And then for the other answer, 4 minus the square root of 12 equals, divided by 2 equals 2 minus the square root of 3. Now, if the question says leave to one decimal place or two decimal places, make sure you press your SD button on your calculator to work out exactly what that would be. So to 2 decimal places, and the other one, again to 2 decimal places, 0.27. I will try another one. Example 2. 10y upon 2 minus y equals 7. Well, that one there needs to sort it out first, so everything's on one side. Times out, well, you can times out the brackets here at this stage if you want. So it's 10y squared, and then move that positive 7 will become a negative 7. I like to put them all in order. So the y squared is first, followed by the y, followed by the number on its own. And we'll just go straight into the formula. Minus b, so it's minus 20, plus or minus the square root of 20 squared, minus 4 times a is minus 10, and b is minus 7, all over 2 times a minus 20. So it's minus 20 plus or minus the square root. Now I'm going to work this bit out. Minus 4 times minus 10 is 40, plus 40. Plus 40 times 7, so 40 times 7, minus 7, sorry, is 280. So it's 400 minus 280, all over minus 20. And splitting that up, so it's minus 20 plus or minus the square root of 120 over minus 20. And in the calculator, I'm going to put in minus 20 plus the square root of 120 equals, divided by minus 20. Make sure you're using your minus sign. And the answer is 0.90. And the other one, minus 20 minus the square root of 120 equals, divided by minus 20, gives me an answer of 1.55. I'll have another go at one of these. It's just written out a little bit more strange. If I had 5a minus 7 equals 2 over a. First of all, get rid of this fraction and multiply everything by a. So that becomes 5a squared minus 7a equals 2. Put everything on one side. 5a squared minus 7a minus 2 equals 0. Into the formula. You can write down what a and b and c are if you find that helpful. So x is minus b. Minus 7 is a positive 7. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. Minus 7 squared is 49. Minus 4 times a times c. Put in brackets for that negative number to emphasize it. All over 2a. And tidying that up, x equals 7 plus or minus the square root of 49. Now, 5 times minus 2 is minus 10 times minus 4 is plus 40. All over 10. So x equals 7 plus or minus the square root of 89 over 10. And just working that out, 7 plus the square root of 89 divided by 10 is 1.64, and the other one 7. Take away the square root of 89 equals, divided by 10 equals minus 0.24. Okay, I'm going to try another of the more awkward looking ones. So if we do this one here, 2a, a minus 1 equals a add 1 squared minus 3. First of all, that is a complete jumble of numbers and letters. Let's sort that out. 2a squared minus 2a equals. If you're multiplying a bracket by itself, probably easiest if you just write it out. Exactly what you're doing. 2a squared minus 2a equals a times a is a squared. A times 1 is a. 1 times a is a. 1 times 1 is 1. Everything goes on to the one side. So 2a squared minus a squared becomes 1a squared. Minus 2a, take away a, take away another a, is minus 4a. And then 1 take away 3 is minus 2. If you bring that over, it becomes positive 2. And just using a quadratic formula, a equals 1, b equals minus 4, and c equals 2. So x equals, I suppose strictly speaking I should be putting down a equals this time because the equation's in terms of a's. But x equals minus b, minus minus 4, plus minus the square root, b squared, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2a. So a equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 16 take away 8 is 8 over 2. Now I'm going to leave this one in surd form just to revise over those. 8 is the same as square root of 4 square root of 2. Square root of 4 is an ordinary 2, all divided by 2. And that splits up, I can divide both of those terms by 2. So it's 2 plus or minus root 2. I want to have a look at some fraction equations here. So if I had 3x minus x over 5 equals 2/3. If I was going to be doing that question there, I would multiply everything by 5 to get rid of that 5 there. So it would be 15x minus x equals 5 times 2, 10 over 3. I'm now going to multiply everything by 3 to get rid of that there fraction. So it's 45x minus 3x equals 10. That tallies up to give you 42x equals 10. So x equals 10 over 42. Now when you're working with fractions, sometimes they can lead into quadratics. It just sort of depends on the question. We'll have a look at this one. X minus 1 minus 6 over x add 1. Now I put brackets round the bottom. When you're subtracting fractions, the bottoms have to be the same. So it's going to be an x minus 1 and an x plus 1 as the bottom. X minus 1, x plus 1. To change from this to this bottom, I need an extra x plus 1. So I need an extra x plus 1 on the top. Now brackets are crucial. You must put brackets around your work here. To change this bottom to this bottom, I need an extra x minus 1. Put it on the top. Now I would sort out my tops. So it's 3x squared plus 3x minus 6x, and that becomes plus 1. The bottoms are all the same. X minus 1, x plus 1 equals 3. Now, I'm going to tidy up the top. 3x squared minus 3x add 1. Now this bottom will come over to the other side and it'll become multiplying. So I'm going to times out the left hand side now. So I've got 3. X times x is x squared. X times 1 is 1x minus 1x minus 1. Now I'm still working with the left hand side. The right hand side I can't do anything more with. X squared, x take away x is gone, minus 1. Times out that bracket. 3x squared minus 3. Put everything on one side. 3x squared minus 3x squared is gone. Minus 3x. 1 add 3 is 4. Now that broke down into a linear. So it's letters one side, numbers the other. Change all signs. X equals 4 over 3. Now we'll try another one and hopefully we'll end up with it breaking into a quadratic as opposed to a linear. So we can see what we do in that case. So we'll have 4p over 3p minus 2 minus p minus 1 over 2p minus 3 equals 1, equals a 1. Now, you're going to make the bottoms the same, it should be a 1. So there's 3p minus 2 times 2p minus 3. And then the other one, 3p minus 2, 2p minus 3. From here to here, you need an extra 2p minus 3. So put it on the top, 2p minus 3. From here to here, you need an extra 3p minus 2. You should put brackets round everything and put it on the top. Now, bottoms are the same, you can work out the tops. Before I can work out the tops, I have to multiply them out. So that becomes 8p squared minus 12p. That's that one. So 3p minus 2, 2p minus 3. And we'll sort this one out. 3p squared. And that's minus 2p, take away 3p. It's minus 5p plus 2. All over. Now, you notice I put brackets around that. That was to emphasise the fact that I'm subtracting. So I'm going to do my subtraction now. 8p squared minus 3p squared is 5p squared. Minus 12p plus 5p is minus 7p. And then minus 2. All over 3p minus 2, 2p minus 3 equals 1. Bring your bottom up to the other side and it becomes multiplying. So it's just 1 times that, so it'll be 3p minus 2, 2p minus 3. Need to multiply out that bracket. So I get 6p squared. I'm going to do this in my head. Minus 9p, take away 4, is minus 13p plus 6. You want everything on one side. 5p squared minus 6p squared is minus p squared. Minus 7p plus 13 is 6p. And minus 2, take away 6 is minus 8. Now, I prefer to start off with an ordinary p squared, not a negative p squared. So I'm just going to change all my signs. So it multiplies to give 8 and adds to give minus 6. Well, it's minus 4 and minus 2. Split it up. P minus 4 equals 0. P minus 2 equals 0. So P equals 4. And P equals 2.